Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to those of you out west. My name is Frank Wheeler, and as your president, it is my great pleasure to welcome you here today for this historic virtual annual general meeting and to call CHF Canada's National Business Meeting to order. First, I wish to recognize that I am speaking to you from and acknowledge the Treaty 1 territory and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. This acknowledgement is just a small part of a long reconciliation journey we are on at CHF Canada, which we will invite all members to join. Members asked through a 2018 member resolution to take action towards reconciliation. We have taken the time to understand what reconciliation means to members, what is important in this journey, and what can help members along this journey. Throughout this virtual meeting, you will hear and learn about Indigenous peoples' lands across the country as speakers acknowledge the lands they are speaking from when giving their updates. I also want to take this opportunity to repeat CHF Canada's recent statement in support of Black Lives Matter. We stand with individuals and communities affected by systemic racism, violence, and discrimination, including police brutality against Black individuals, people of color, and Indigenous people here in Canada and in the United States. Cooperatives are built on the values of self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, equality, equity, and solidarity. So long as systemic racism exists in our communities, we must and we will work to dismantle this injustice. Next, I would like to virtually congratulate Rooftops Canada on its 35th anniversary. In 1985, Rooftops Canada started as an international development arm of CHF Canada. Over the past 35 years, Rooftops Canada and its partners have improved the lives of tens of thousands of families with better homes and communities. So congratulations, Rooftops Canada. We look forward to another 35 years of partnership with you. I also want to take time to thank you, the members, for joining us here today for this virtual AGM. These are uncertain and difficult times, and although it's unfortunate we couldn't be together in Halifax, it's good that we stay safe and healthy while joining together virtually. Together, we'll make important decisions that will support members through new challenges while continuing to work towards our shared vision. You will elect 5 at-large directors and 1 Finance and Audit Committee member. And you will consider resolutions, including one to finalize important changes to CHF Canada's governance structure. Finally, we'll finish off with some fun and music for a worthy cause, all in a fairly short span of time. So let's get started. Those of you who have attended an annual business meeting in the past know that it can be a daunting agenda. This meeting, with its compressed time frame and virtual platform, poses new challenges. Our meetings run smoothly, not only because of your own cooperation and respect for each other, but also because of the great work and preparation by our annual meeting chairs. We are very happy that Céline Carrière has agreed to take on this vital role again. I will now call for a mover and a seconder to appoint Céline Carrière as chair of CHF Canada's National Business Meeting. So please use the messaging function within the Lumi platform. So I have a mover, Carolyn Reinhardt from Mountain City. And a seconder, Deborah Saunders from Trillium Place. Thank you. So now we will conduct the vote. Delegates can now vote on the motion, so please cast your vote. So we'll close the vote shortly. And I'll ask our technical folks to please close the vote and please display the results. Okay, and there we have it. You have voted to appoint the meeting chair. I will now turn the virtual podium over to Céline to conduct the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Frank. Good morning to those out west, and good afternoon to those for whom it's after 12 o'clock. My name is Céline, as Frank mentioned, and it's my pleasure to be chairing your virtual AGM today. Bonjour tout le monde. I want to...
Hello, everyone.
The land that I'm speaking to you from this morning. I'm speaking to you today and acknowledge the traditional land of the St. Lawrence, Iroquois, Anishinaabe, Mohawk, Huron-Wendat, and Omami-Wininiwak territory. So as we know, it's going to be a little bit different this year, and I'm looking forward to the challenge and the experience of chairing the meeting, as I'm sure you're looking forward to the opportunity to take part in our virtual AGM today. I'm going to first start by greeting our delegates and our alternates, as well as observers. What we'll do first is confirm that we have achieved quorum. Congratulations, you've almost doubled the quorum requirement, or you've more than doubled the quorum requirement. Not quite. My math is just off. So quorum is 145 voting delegates, and I can confirm that we have 280 voting delegates connected today. So quorum has been achieved. What I'd like to do next is move into a bit of an overview of how we're going to proceed today in terms of the agenda and the rules of order. So things are a little bit different. For those of you who've been to the AGM in the past, you'll note that the AGM typically spans over the course of the day. As Cynthia and Frank have mentioned, the meeting will be condensed and shorter, and the way we're going about things is going to be a little bit different as well. I'll draw your attention to the rules of order, which are on page 2 of the AGM guide. And those are the typical rules of order that we use, but for today's purposes, there will be a few exceptions. So when it comes time to voting, rather than holding up your delegate voting book, you will be participating in voting polls, as Frank did when approving the chair. Your comments and questions will be going through, you won't be speaking out loud, you'll be participating through the chat function. So you'll see comments and questions from your fellow meeting participants coming through the feed, and I will be reading them out loud as well for the sake of our translators. We're going to do our best to acknowledge all of the arguments or points or debate, discussion, questions that come forward. The moderators are working hard to make sure that if there's a technical question around sound quality or anything else, that won't make it into the main chat feed. It's going to be taken care of, and we'll try to help that person resolve that. But if it's a question relevant to the discussion, to the meeting, it will come forward through the feed, and it may be collated. There may be multiple questions on the same topic, and the moderators will select one and move that question forward. Just a reminder to try to be brief or relatively brief in your questions or comments so that we can see them. I don't have the ability to scroll through the questions on my feed, and so if it's 3 paragraphs long, I may not get to see the entire thing and acknowledge it. So I'm just going to respond here. So Angela had questioned how many voting delegates were registered for the AGM, 280, and Gaetan Guérin had asked, can anyone read your comments? Yes, I can. I've read your comment, and I believe that will be going to the chat feed of the entire meeting as well. So if there are technical difficulties, just a reminder to refresh your meeting page, and there will be a phone number posted regularly for tech support if you're having an issue. So as we move into the approval of the agenda, I just want to point out some key differences in terms of the way we're handling votes in our meeting. We have the ability to handle resolutions and regular votes, but because of the platform and the structure of the AGM this year, in approving the agenda, you're also approving the modified meeting rules, which will mean that discussion and debate goes through the question and comment box, and there will be no resolution amendments. We don't have the ability to handle those on this platform, and there will be no late resolutions because of the time constraints, and again, the ability to respond in the regular way that the resolutions policy requires. So it's my job to get you through the meeting as succinctly as possible. I'm not going to go on any longer than I have to, but one last important comment. CHF Canada does have a harassment and discrimination policy. In this case, if there's a question that's deemed inappropriate by the moderators, those questions will be weeded out. So just a reminder to be respectful of the moderators and your fellow meeting participants. With that said, I'm going to call for a motion to approve the agenda as it appears in your meeting notice and up on screen. Okay, so Femi, and I'm going to apologize in advance for anyone's name I may not pronounce appropriately, but Femi Onanuga from Kagano is the mover, and can I get a seconder to approve the agenda and the meeting rules? So we'll just wait a moment to see the seconder pop in. Okay, great. Twila Gingras from Beaver Creek Housing Cooperative seconds that motion. Thank you very much. So now that the agenda and the meeting rules have been moved and seconded, we're going to, so just a reminder here on screen about the fact that questions and comments will be moderated, no late resolutions or resolution amendments. And so now I'm going to call for any discussion or debate on that agenda. And I'll give it a moment for anything to be typed into the chat. Just a reminder, if you're looking to ask a question or participate in the discussion or debate, that you're looking for the chat bubble in the top left corner, I believe, of your screen. So I'm not seeing any discussion or debate on the agenda. Let's move to a vote. Can we please launch that vote? We'll give it a moment. Please make sure that you're participating in that vote to cast your ballot, or your vote rather. Okay, votes are still coming in. We'll give you a few more moments. Okay, so let's close that poll and display the results on screen. The meeting agenda and meeting rules have passed. That's wonderful. Thank you very much, folks. So let's dive into the fun of it. And I'm going to throw out one of just a quick comment. Normally, meeting chairs end up with funny hats in our meetings. Because it's a virtual meeting, you're just going to have to imagine a virtual hat on my head. So with that said, I forgot to mention that when you approved me as chair, and I figured I have a bad joke quota, so we'll throw that out. Let's move into the first special resolution on electronic meetings. I'm just going to grab my resolution here, bear with me. Okay, so in terms of the resolutions process, I'm going to read out the resolution aloud. We'll call for a mover and seconder. I'm then going to call on a CHF Canada board member to speak through through video, and then we'll get into discussion and debate. So if you have any questions related to this resolution, a good time to start thinking about typing your questions or comments in. So special resolution number 1, electronic members meetings. We resolve that CHF Canada amend bylaw number 1 with immediate effect to A, add new paragraph K to section 3.01, members meetings. Members meetings may be held anywhere in Canada at such time that the Board of Directors determines. Members may hold meetings by means of a telephonic, electronic, or other communication facility as permitted by the Canada Cooperatives Act. And B, add a new paragraph, D, to section 3.02, annual meeting of members. The annual meeting may be held anywhere in Canada at such time as the Board of Directors determines. The annual meeting may be held by means of a telephonic, electronic, or other communication facility as permitted by the Canada Cooperatives Act. And so, having read out the resolution, I am going to ask for a mover and a seconder. So, reminder that you need to type in I move or I second, and the first one gets picked. So it's a bit of a race if someone wants to make that motion and second that motion. Thank you, Aaron Schwartz from Bain Apartment Housing Cooperative. That's been moved. And Eddie Sibyl from Killarney Gardens Housing Cooperative has seconded. Thank you very much. And so now we will move into a video from Nicole Waldron, CHF Canada board member, to speak to the resolution.
Hello and good day, my fellow cooperators. I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement as part of our movement's reconciliation journey. I am at home in Scarborough, Ontario at Atahualpa Cooperative Homes. I acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional land of the Wendat, the Métis, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. This is the Dish with One Spoon territory, a treaty between the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation, which binds them to share the territory and protect the land. On behalf of your Board of Directors, I am pleased to ask for your support on Special Resolution number 1, which will allow us to have a democratic business meeting of members here today. We know housing co-op communities are strong and democratic. During these difficult times, safety comes first. We need to safely adapt to uphold the principles of democratic member control. Because we cannot meet in person, we are asking for you to approve this resolution that enables us to meet virtually to conduct our annual general meeting in a manner that respects our bylaws and the Canada Cooperative Act. This resolution has been reviewed by our lawyer, and we present this to you for your approval. On a personal note, I want to take this time to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a director on the board of CHF Canada. This year, I will not be seeking re-election. I know that as I come to the end of this part of my journey with CHF Canada, I am extremely confident in the future of our movement and our organization. Thank you for allowing me to be of service to you. Have a great meeting.
Thank you very much for that, Nicole. I just want to respond to a few of the questions that have popped up. There have been some questions as to why delegates can't see the mover and seconder. The moderators are channeling those to me as chair first to recognize the mover and seconder, and then they'll appear in real time once they've been dealt with in the chat feed. So you will see them, they just may come out of order. The other note would be that any pre-recorded videos will not be translated in real time. And so for Francophone meeting participants, you will be hearing the actual audio from the videos when they're running. And so with that said, I will now call on any discussion or debate or any questions related to special resolution number 1. A technical element, when it comes to the vote, we will require a 2/3 majority in order to approve because it is a special resolution, which is a bylaw amendment. Candace Salverda from Village Green Cooperatives has said, with the law that already has been changed by the government to allow virtual meetings, do co-ops that choose to go virtual need to have this resolution? I will defer to Tim on that, if Tim wants to hop on, and that's not pertinent to this specific resolution, but probably helpful. So let's have Tim just respond to that very quickly.
Hi, everybody. That's a good question. CHF Canada is incorporated under the Federal Act. So the Federal Act already allowed for virtual meetings, but because we respect you, the members, we want to gain your consent as well. Just because it's permitted under the Act is not sufficient for us to move forward. We want to obtain that consent from members, which we hope you will do, so that we can continue with our meeting.
Great, thanks, Tim. And the question from Lauren Haley at Clintwood Nonprofit Housing Cooperative, if this passes, will it mean we won't be having regular meetings? Tim, I'm going to ask you to come back on screen and respond to that.
So the brief answer there is no. We do hope to meet in person once again, but this bylaw change gives us the flexibility to meet virtually when circumstances like these don't allow us to meet face to face.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Alex Williams from Heath Street Housing Cooperative states the resolution perhaps needs a minimum time frame for the board to call meetings. Those parameters would already be included in CHF Canada's AGMs and would have requirements set out in the cooperative or the Canadian Cooperatives Act. And so that is why you wouldn't see it stated in the resolution. Thanks for that. So I'll give one last call or a shout out for any questions or comments. And I'm not seeing any coming up in my feed, but we'll give it just a moment longer because sometimes we have all these thoughts rushing through our head and our fingers don't type at the same speed. So, okay, Pierre-Alain Cote-Noir from la Fédération des coopératives d'habitation intermunicipale du Montréal métropolitain. That's a great name. So why not webcast the meeting in the next future for people not able to move? Tim?
I think that's a great question and something that we ought to consider moving forward. And delegates and observers here today will be doing an evaluation of this meeting, and we'll love to hear your thoughts on that question.
Jennifer Wolfenden from Guy Street Housing Cooperative asks, once approved, can we choose in person or electronic? I'm going to ask a few of these and then ask Tim to jump on and respond. Chuck McGregor from Trafalgar Housing Cooperative says, already permitted under federal legislation. Does this refer to the Corporations Act? And will this allow for individual co-ops to meet virtually also for their AGM? So the quick answer to Chuck's question is that CHF Canada is incorporated under the National Canadian Cooperatives Act, which is different from the Ontario Cooperative Corporations Act that you would fall under. And Sally Race from Dawn Area Cooperative Homes asked, does this motion allow for a mix of in-person and online meetings? So Tim, I'm going to ask if you can respond, and then if there are no continual questions, we will we'll dive into the vote so that we can continue with our agenda. Tim, I'm going to throw one more at you here. Can we just make it for exceptional circumstances? So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, well, the intent here is that it is for exceptional circumstances. We're doing this today because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So our preference is to meet in person. However, we do want to make our meetings as accessible as possible. So technically this would in the future potentially allow, if the members demand it, meetings where we webcast and hold in-person meetings as well. I hope that answers all the questions. I'm seeing them come in on the side here. So Lynn, let me know if I should answer anything else.
Sure. So I think the last question I'll handle that I see from Troy Mazarol from Waterloo Cooperative Residents Incorporated. So you're asking, if you understand the Cooperative Corporations Act correctly, the allowance of virtual meetings is temporary. When will there be another amendment when it no longer allows? So that is an Ontario specific requirement. In Ontario, the government is allowing for meetings, and likely in other provinces, whereas the national legislation that CHF Canada falls under is what allows for meetings to be held electronically, generally and broadly. So I'm not seeing anything else, and in the sake of time, because we're starting to fall behind, I'm going to call for the vote here. And so I'm going to call for the poll to be open for special resolution number 1. And again, as you're casting your vote, just a quick reminder that we do require a 2/3 majority for our special resolution to pass and to allow for our meeting to proceed. Okay, so we'll give another few moments for people to cast their vote. Okay, so let's close that poll now and display the results. Okay, special resolution number 1 has passed by more than a 2/3 majority, so I declare that resolution approved. Thank you very much. Let's move into the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the 2019 AGM minutes. I will ask for a mover and seconder to approve those minutes. Again, just a reminder to type them into your chat box. Perfect, you guys are going quick. So Sarah Murray from Golden Horseshoe Cooperative Housing Federation, hi Sarah, has made the motion, and Kadir Awan from Clarion Cooperative Homes has seconded. Thank you. Having moved and seconded the minutes, I do see a question, but it's pertinent to the last resolution, so we're going to move on, and I'll roll that out of order. So let's move into discussion or debate on those minutes. If there are any discussion or debate, please add those into the chat box. This is where I get the chance to shout out Gay, who is the minute taker extraordinaire, recording secretary for CHF Canada, who always does a wonderful job. I'm not seeing any questions or comments or even corrections. So we may have some coming in, so let's take a moment and allow that. Okay, so Nicole Spencer from Erin Court Cooperative Homes. Okay, so hi Sophie Taylor, good afternoon. Just wanted to ask if there will be mentioning. Okay, so I do see that comment, but that's not relevant to the minutes at this point. I'll acknowledge it for the sake of the translation though. So there was a question of whether there would be a mentioning of Moby Bukhari's passing. If there's time at some point later in the meeting, I would suggest that we will try to pause for a moment of silence. I'm not seeing any questions or comments related to the minutes, so let's open the poll to consider the approval of the 2019 AGM minutes. So if we can launch that vote. Okay, so just a reminder, if you can cast your vote for the approval of the 2019 National Business Meeting minutes. Give a few more seconds for anyone who's still deciding whether they'd like to approve those minutes or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that poll now and display the results on screen. And so we can see that 86% of voting delegates have voted to approve those minutes. Thank you very much. And we have some abstentions noted. So those minutes carry. That's wonderful. Thank you. We'll move into the next item on our agenda. And so I'm going to call on Frank Wheeler, I believe.
I know that 2019 feels like a very long time
Nope,
ago.
that's my
However,
mistake. So
it is our honor
the full
and
version
obligation.
has been circulated via e-news and posted online on June 4th. And so we welcome you to go and take a look at those. And so now I'm going to call on Frank and Tina via video feed to provide the annual report presentation to the meeting.
I know that 2019 feels like a very long time ago. However, it is our honor and obligation to report to you, the members, on our shared goals and accomplishments from the previous year. Tough times call for stronger cooperation. As this pandemic continues to cause health, social, and economic ills, we continue to be inspired by the strength and the caring character of CHF Canada members all across the country. Thank you all for your dedication to building a strong, united cooperative housing movement. Thanks to our collective efforts, our movement remains strong as we weather this very difficult storm brought to us by COVID-19.
Ani and Bojo, hello cooperators. I acknowledge that I am speaking to you on the lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenape, Attawandron peoples on lands connected with the London Township and Sombra Treaties of 1796. I am proud of what we accomplished together in 2019. Your participation in the Include Co-op campaign during the federal election helped raise public awareness of the value of cooperative housing. We finally secured the launch of the Federal Community Housing Initiative to extend rental assistance for co-ops with federally administered agreements. Though the program launch was delayed to September due to COVID-19, rental assistance has been automatically extended to protect rental assistance for those who need it the most. We continue to have some work to do in order to fill gaps in the program. But when we speak together with one voice, the federal government takes note. And many improvements have been made to the program based on our advocacy work.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Je veux rendre hommage au peuple algonquin, gardien traditionnel de cette terre. En 2019, le FHCC a poursuivi le chemin de la réconciliation. Nous avons travaillé sur une boîte d'outils de réconciliation pour nos membres. J'ai le plaisir d'annoncer que la boîte d'outils sera publiée pour vous, nos membres, à temps pour le 21 juin, la Journée nationale des peuples autochtones. Il y a tellement de choses à dire sur notre travail en 2019 que je vous encourage à lire le rapport annuel complet sur notre site web. Ceci conclut la présentation orale du rapport annuel 2019. Merci, take care, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you very much, Tim, for that report, as well as to Tina and Frank. So next on our agenda is resolution number 2, And so similar to the first resolution, I'm going to read out the full resolution. It is a little bit lengthy. You'll have it in your AGM book. Then we'll have that resolution moved and seconded, and we'll move into discussion and debate. We are running a little bit behind time, so we're going to be trying to make the questions as concise as possible. And if we see a question that's been repeated or that's repeating, we may not deal with that question a second time. And so special resolution number 2, unified and effective governance of CHF Canada. We resolve that CHF Canada Board of Directors and Ontario Council reorganize into a single governance body at the close of the 2021 CHF Canada Annual General Meeting. That CHF Canada amend bylaw number 1 to reflect the composition of the new Board of Directors as approved by the members in a resolution at the 2019 Annual General Meeting. 16 seats, including 3 directors elected from the members in Ontario, 1 director elected from the member in British Columbia / Yukon, 1 director elected from the members of Alberta, Northwest Territories, 1 director elected from the members in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, 1 director elected from the members in Quebec, Nunavut, 1 director elected from the members in New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, 1 director elected from the members in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, 1 director elected by the Indigenous Cooperative Housing Community members, and 6 directors elected from the members at large. So number 3, that CHF Canada repeal bylaw number 2 and the Ontario Region Operating Rules effective December 31st, 2020. 4, that CHF Canada adopt new policy under members' authority respecting the oversight of the National and Ontario Endowment Funds effective January 1st, 2021. 5, that the Board of Directors and Ontario Council dissolve at the close of the 2021 Annual General Meeting. 6, that CHF Canada hold elections in 2021 to elect the new Board of Directors. And 7, that the new Board of Directors take office at the close of the 2021 Annual General Meeting. So that resolution has now been read out. I saw a mover and seconder come up on my screen, but I'm just going to ask if we can bring those back up. Thank you. So it's been moved by Marty Peterson from Sills Landing Housing Cooperative and seconded by Kadir Awan from Clarion Cooperative Homes. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to call on Tom Clement via video feed to speak to the resolution, and then we will deal with comments and questions. If you have any, now's the time to start typing them in. Thank you. So we'll roll the video.
Hello, everyone. I acknowledge that I'm speaking with you today from the traditional land of the Wendat, Métis, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. As the chair of CHF's Governance Committee, I am honored to share a few words on this important resolution on behalf of your Board of Directors and the Ontario Council. In 2018, your board and Ontario Council decided it was time to reevaluate our system of governance in order to improve how we represent and serve you, our members. We struck a committee, and after a period of consultation and study, we made recommendations to the Ontario Council and to the Board of Directors. These recommendations were then reported to our members at the 2019 Annual General Meeting and the Ontario meeting. Our members overwhelmingly supported a resolution to reorganize the Board of Directors and the Ontario Council into one single governance body. Last year, you asked us to revise our bylaws and our policies that were needed for the implementation, and that's what we are presenting to you today. By passing this historic resolution here today, we will be able to change the bylaws and hold elections for an improved Board of Directors in 2021. As your elected representatives, we take our direction from you. You are the members of CHF Canada. I am confident this will help our organization and our movement to become even more united, even more sustainable, and usher in a period of growth that will serve our members for years to come. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Tom. I'm just going to ask for my chat feed to just scroll back down so that I can capture the first question that came up a little bit earlier. Okay, so Darcy Eisen from Albro, thank you. From Albro Housing Cooperative, the resolution proposes a reduction in Atlantic representation. How will that reduction in representation and advocacy be compensated for? There's another question asking what number 4 means. So I'm going to call on Tim, I believe, to handle these questions. I'm going to maybe ask one more. And then I'll throw it over to you. So Michael Gamble from Railyard Housing Cooperative also asked, how is the distribution of directors selected? What is the current distribution of members by province? So maybe you can speak to that process as well, Tim.
Thank you, Celine, and thanks to the members who are offering some questions. I'll speak to the question, what does number 4 mean? Number 4 in the resolution reads that CHF Canada adopt a new policy under members' authority respecting the oversight of the national and Ontario endowment funds, and that came out through the work of the governance committee and in consultation with members about how members oversee our national and Ontario endowment funds. The endowment funds were created through the receipt of sector support payments over the years, and they allow us we invest those funds and we earn income on those funds to operate CHF Canada in order to deliver services, and we also share those funds with regional federations. So we through the governance reorganization, it was deemed to be very important that members continue to oversee the policies that govern the use of those funds. In terms of the redistribution of seats and how this was arrived at, 2 years ago, the Board of Directors and Ontario Council struck a joint governance committee, and through a process of consultation and study and comparison with other national cooperative associations, made a determination on distribution of seats that is attempts to be proportionate to the size of the cooperative sector in a particular province. So those are some of the factors behind the new distribution of seats. Because the resolution proposes to reorganize the Ontario Council and the Board of Directors, an increased allocation is offered to the members in Ontario to account for the dissolution of the Ontario Council. And in order to maintain a board size that is workable at 16, this resulted in some combination of some representation regions. So in terms of the redistribution, what's proposed in the resolution and what was accepted last year by last year's members was to reduce the seats in combined seats for Manitoba and Saskatchewan into one representative region, so going from 2 to 1 there, and to combine New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island in one representative region, going from 2 to 1 there, and to combine Newfoundland and Labrador and Nova Scotia into one representative region, going from 2 to 1 there. So in order to adjust for the dissolution of the Ontario Council, those seats were transferred to Ontario. In terms of advocacy and service levels, we're very confident that we will be able to maintain, or if not enhance, our advocacy and service levels in these particular regions, because because we have the budgetary means to do so. So I hope I've offered a little bit more information and context there, Celine. And if there's any other questions that have come in, feel free to let them be heard. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not seeing further questions come in, and given that we are running behind time, I'm glad to see that. I will acknowledge what I've seen. So Tim Watkins from John Hugh Mackenzie Housing Co-op has asked a financial question. Tim, I'm going to ask you to bring that question back when we get into the financial resolutions, because we're not on that yet. Scott Morgan has from Whippletree West Housing Cooperative has asked, what will this do to the provincial, individual provincial co-op boards? So this resolution is only going to affect Ontario Council and the CHF Canada board. It would not affect any regional federations. And Stephanie McKenna from Westridge Estates Cooperative has asked, is there a rule with the representation that PEI New Brunswick will alternate between one to the other? The answer is no, that's not what's included in the resolution at this time. So not seeing anything else come up, I'm going to suggest that we now open the poll on resolution number 2. And I'm going to just remind everybody that because this is a special resolution, it will require a 2/3 majority. So please cast your vote on special resolution number 2, Unified and Effective Governance of CHF Canada. Okay, great. So it looks like the vast majority of folks have cast their ballot. So I'm going to count to 3 in my head, and we're going to close that poll now. And I will ask to please display the results for special resolution number 2. And so we'll declare that resolution as passed, having received more than 2/3 of the votes. So congratulations. Thank you for that. So it looks like some big changes coming. Congratulations to the membership on that decision, and to the board and staff for going through that process. Just a quick update for those who had asked some questions about translation. The translators have agreed on an exceptional basis to now translate the video feeds as they come in as much as possible, given that often the video feeds are quick. So that's great. Thank you very much to the translators. Merci beaucoup. Great. So I'm now going to move into the next portion of the agenda. So the financial resolutions, and the exciting part that all of you have been waiting for, I'm sure. So now we have a number of financial resolutions to be handled. You'll see those in your AGM book. Okay, so in normal years, we would call the treasurer up to do this portion, but for the sake of expediency, I'm going to continue to run us through this process. So the first piece is going to be the audited financial statements. And so I'm going to refer you to the resolution. I'll read it out. We'll get it tabled. Then we'll have the presentation from Valérie Marcel. And so the resolution that we're looking for a mover and seconder for is the following. We resolve that the audited financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2019 be received. Can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? And thank you, using your chat function. Khalid Khan from Glen Oaks Cooperative Homes moved to approve. Quick on the draw today, and Michelle Tribe from Alex Laidlaw Housing Co-op, a whopping 2 blocks away from my house, seconds. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so now I will ask for the pre-recorded video from the auditor, Merci Lavallée, to come up on screen.
Hello, I'm speaking to you from the traditional land of the St. Lawrence Iroquoians, Anishinaabe, Mohawk, Huron-Wendat, and Omami-Wininiwak, Algonquin. The objective of an audit is to provide reasonable assurance to you, the members, as to the reliability and fairness of the financial information included in the non-consolidated financial statements. To reach this objective, we, as auditors, work with CHF Canada staff to ensure that the financial controls are in place, are effective throughout the year. Controls are an important part of an organization, and they ensure completeness of revenue and expenses, as well as proper measurement of assets and liabilities so as to avoid misstatement in the financial information. Reliable financial information is key for decision makers such as management and the board of directors to help them in the realization of its mission, its long-term financial goals, securing the sustainability of CHF Canada for the future. Our audit team spent a few days on site in November 2019 at the CHF Canada National Office in Ottawa, as well as a full week in February to complete the testing, to review documentation, policies, and procedures, to ask questions and have various discussions with the outside accountant and CHF Canada staff to financial issues, test financial controls, and test year-end balances. The result of the audit, as well as the audited financial statements, were then presented to the Finance and Audit Committee. I would draw your attention to the following 2019 financial highlights. Operating revenues of just over 5.7 million were higher than budgeted. Operating expenses finished just under the original budget, overall coming to just over $6.3 million. Total assets of up to $2 million, up from 1 year before, though much of this is due to the increase of unrealized gains. Still a healthy reserve balance coming in at under 3.5 million. Ontario and National Endowment Fund balances total 11.1 million. Our independent auditor reports state our conclusion on our audit. The audit evidence obtained was sufficient, appropriate, and conclusive to provide a basis for our audit opinion. The financial statements present fairly in all material respect the financial position as of December 31st, 2019. This is what we commonly refer to as a clean audit. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Valérie. And so I do see a number of questions coming up on the feed here. Some of these are related to the budget later on. And so I'm going to suggest that we'll handle those as we come into the budget question. And so at this point, it has been moved and seconded. And I'm going to ask if there are any questions. So the first question was from Jennifer Wolfenden, Guy Street Housing Cooperative, page 12. What exactly the assets are. So I will ask Lisa, I believe. No, is it Lisa? It's not Lisa. It would be Tim to speak to the nature of those, the CHF Canada assets.
So assets are what we own and what are and the amounts that are owed to us as an organization. This amount includes accounts receivable, cash on hand, at our credit union accounts, loans and investments, some prepaid expenses like rents, and the underappreciated value of our furnishings and equipment, and as well as our holdings in related companies.
Great, thanks, Tim. So I'm going to ask if we can just clear the second comment on my question feed, because that was an old one, just so that I can see the other questions coming in. Okay, so Tim Watkins had asked from John Hugh Mackenzie Housing Cooperative. Operating loss appears to be, thank you, 564,000, but the operating fund balance increased by 431,000. Am I understanding that correctly? So I'll ask Tim to confirm that. And then I believe Lauren Healy had asked, I don't understand how there's a $590,000 in the 2020 budget for the AGM. We're not paying for anything. So Tim, if you could please confirm that, that would be, or respond to those questions, that would be great.
The second question isn't related to the audit, but I can answer it since the question has been asked. It is related to our 2020 budget. Yes, our budgets were prepared and approved by our board of directors in November, well before COVID. And of course, as mentioned in the narrative report in the AGM book, we will be making some adjustments because, of course, we are not in Halifax right now. The expenses, there will be a variance reported at year end for the AGM revenues as well as the expenses. With respect to the Tim Watkins' question. If you look into the narrative report, the fund balance was just over $1 million. At December 31, 2019, we added $432,562 to the balance to bring it up to just over 1.4 million. This is in addition to the amount that's exactly equal to the unrealized investment gains booked at the end of 2019. So those are unrealized gains in investments, and so in this year and in future years, the fund surplus will be used as a float for unrealized gains and losses, so that our budgeting and spending are not impacted by what can be substantial swings in the market, which is not reflective of our actual income as they're unrealized.
Great, thanks, Tim. So we'll, I believe that responds to Tim Watkins' question. So we'll remove that from my view. And then just a quick reminder for anyone who's who's called into the 1888 number, if you can please mute your line so that there isn't as much background noise, that would be great. So Jennifer Wolfenden has asked a question about the budget. I'm going to suggest that we get to that when we deal with the 2020 budget and summary of operating forecasts. So we'll hold off on that. I'm not seeing any other questions related to the 2019 audited financial statements. So I'm going to call for the meeting poll to be opened to vote on the motion to receive those financial statements for December 31st, 2019. If you'd like to cast your ballot now. Okay, so we'll give folks a few more seconds to cast their vote. We'll ask you to try to be as timely as possible on this, folks, because we are running a little bit behind schedule here. So as much as possible when we open the poll, if you can jump to it and cast your vote, that would be great. Okay, so we'll close that poll now and display the results on screen. Thank you very much. That motion passes overwhelmingly in support. So the audited statements have been received, and we're going to jump right into the next resolution here. I'm just going to take a look. So the next motion is we resolve that the firm Mercier-Lavallee be appointed as external auditors of the Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada to hold office until the close of the next annual meeting. So this is the motion to reappoint your auditors. Thank you, folks. You're so quick. So Kathy, I'm sorry, Kathy from Romerswood Cooperative, I'm going to not try to pronounce her last name, has made the motion, and Tony Yee from Sacha has seconded that motion. So thank you for being on the ball and quick, folks. It's been moved and seconded. I'm going to call for any discussion or debate on the reappointment of auditors, and I'm not going to give a ton of time because this is typically something that people are ready to vote on, and there isn't typically a lot of discussion. I'm going to count to 5 in my head. And I'm not seeing anything. So I'm going to move us right along and ask for the poll for that resolution or to be opened up. So I'll ask you to please cast your vote on the reappointment of auditor. Okay, so it looks like folks are quick on the draw on that one. That's great. Let's close the poll for the reappointment of the auditor and display the results on screen. Okay, and again, has passed overwhelmingly. Thank you very much. That's great. So Valérie says, thank you very much and looking forward to working with you again next year. So there was a question from Tim, who are the current auditors? That's Marcel Lavallée. Is the current auditing firm. So next we're going to move into, bear with me here, the schedule of dues for 2021. And so, sorry, budget, I've got them out of order on my sheet. So, so we resolved that the 2020 budgets for operations and National Endowment Fund as finalized by the Board of Directors and the 2021 summary financial forecast to be received. So we'll ask for a mover and seconder on the budget and summary operating forecast. I see a question, but we need it to be moved and seconded first. Perfect, thank you. I've got Marty Peterson from Sills Landing Housing Cooperative and Sarah Lawrence from Dalhousie Housing Cooperative. Hi, Sarah, has seconded that resolution. Thank you very much. And so bear with me here. I believe we have a video coming up here. So I'm going to call for that now, and then we'll move into discussion and debate. So Lisa Birding to provide that, I believe.
An overview of the 2020 budget and information about the budget forecast for 2021 is combined in a single narrative report, which was made available on the AGM website. The members receive an initial forecast for the following year at each annual meeting, at the same time as are asked to approve the new dues rate for that year. The board will finalize the 2021 budget in the fall, following its annual planning session, and will report back to the members on the final budget at the next AGM. It should be noted that the 2020 budget was prepared pre-COVID in November 2019. We are making adjustments as required to accommodate necessary changes in plans. However, be assured that the board and management are continuing to monitor the plan and budget to ensure we continue to represent and best serve our members in this challenging time.
Okay, thank you for that, Lisa. So there are a few questions or comments that have come in, and I'm going to ask for a bit of help scrolling because this is a long comment, so I'll read through it. If we could just go up a little bit more. Thank you. Alex William from Heath Street Housing Cooperative. Canadian and worldwide economies have shrunk significantly with COVID-19. Individual members of co-ops and perhaps co-ops across the country may as a result be feeling financial stress. While the proposed CHF Canada 1% raise of dues is clearly modest, why is it necessary if the costs of having a virtual AGM are lower than having an in-person meeting, $900,000? What is the cost savings for the present virtual meeting, if any? So I'm going to read through a few of the questions. That question will be treated through the dues schedule question. So I'm going to hold off on that, but acknowledge that it was questioned. So then Jennifer Wolfenden from Guy Street Co-op. Please explain briefly any changes in the budget that is over 30% plus or minus. So in this case, what's being proposed is the actual budget, not looking. So I believe the question is where there's an increase or decrease of more than 30% over last year's results. So maybe I'll ask Tim very briefly to speak to that, and then we'll move to a vote because I don't see any other questions.
Sure. Thanks, Celine, and thanks, Jennifer, for the question. I believe most of the variances are explained in the narrative report, and if you would like more details, you can contact our team. You can contact me, tross at chfcanada.coop, for those highly detailed questions about the budget.
Great, thanks, Tim. So let's move into a vote on the 2020 budget and 2021 summary operating forecast. So we'll launch that poll, thank you, and we'll ask people to vote on that poll as quickly as they can. We'll give people a few more seconds to vote. The votes are still coming in. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that poll. The majority of folks have cast their vote, or the vast majority of results are in. Okay, so thank you. That has passed by 89.86%. That's great. So next we're going to move into the schedule of dues. So again, I'm going to read out the resolution. We'll get it moved and seconded if you want to get to work on that. So we resolve that the attached schedule of member and associate dues rate for 2021 be adopted. There's someone who would like to move and second that motion, and then we will have Lisa Birding on screen to speak to it. Great, thanks very much. So Christine McLaughlin from CHF has made the motion to approve 2021 dues. James Forbes from Margaret Lawrence Housing Co-op has seconded. Thank you. So now we'll call on Lisa Birding via video feed to speak to that resolution.
The 2021 due schedule proposes a due increase of 10 cents per unit per month for housing co-ops. A modest increase is proposed for the other membership categories as well. This is the same increase that was approved in 2019 for the 2020 dues increase. While this year has caused economic strains for many businesses and individuals, including housing co-ops and their members, we feel it's important to ask our members to support a dues increase by a modest percentage so that we continue to keep track with inflation and are able to provide our members with the services and support they need now, next year, and into the future.
Great, thank you very much, Lisa. So I'll call on any discussion or debate on the schedule of dues. So I believe there was a comment brought forward as we were discussing the budget previously, and I believe that's been dealt with at this point. So Thea Jansen's from Chicago Cooperative Homes, quoting a comment from Lauren: since there was no conference in Halifax, do we not have a credit in our budget? So now that we're focused on the dues schedule, I'm going to suggest that maybe we not respond to that. I'll call on Tim to respond to the question that was asked earlier about the need for an increase in dues.
Thanks, Celine. So the dues that are being voted on are for 2021, not 2020. And I do appreciate that that folks would reasonably assume that we are going to realize some savings through the cancellation of the in-person event in Halifax. However, for the operating costs of CHF Canada, to get all the member services and support and advocacy that you need to keep our movement strong, we are requesting a modest increase in our dues in this year's dues. So we already know that we need to make some new investments in shifting our service delivery while we can't meet in person. And we also need to assist our sector in this transition as well. So that's why we're calling on our members that's a part of the reason why we're calling on our members to support a modest dues increase. I would also say that this helps ensure that we move towards a balanced operating budget and we deliver our services on a sustainable level. Looking during COVID-19 response and recovery, the public is also increasingly calling on governments and civil society to invest in housing. And if we want to position ourselves to be a part of that solution, we need to fund our operations accordingly to do so.
Thanks, Tim. So I'm going to read the comment from Sally Race from John Area Cooperative Homes. I believe Tim has responded to those, so I won't ask him to come back on screen, but if we can please just scroll down a little bit. Thank you. So Sally had asked, why should we approve an increase if we are not holding in-person meetings? Why have the questions about, so I think Tim has just responded to the questions about the impact of COVID-19, so we'll resolve that.
Cillian?
Yes.
If I could just offer one thing, we do know that we're all experiencing economic difficulties due to COVID-19, some more than others. So rather than taking a blanket approach, as always, we work with members one-on-one if they are having financial difficulties to make arrangements around dues payments. We'd rather have everybody in the tent so that you benefit from services and representation. So if you are experiencing economic hardship, we're here to help, and we want to make sure that you're a member so that you can access that help as well.
Thanks, Tim. So I'm going to, so Alex Williams from Heath Street Housing Co-op, have not heard yet, with great respect, what the cost savings of the virtual meeting versus in-person meeting is. So that would have been covered in the budget conversation. Because we're discussing dues for 2021, I'm going to go ahead and rule that question out of order in this case. Anne Lowe from Alliance Housing Co-op. Hi, Anne. When there's a surplus in some areas, will you pivot the funds to another initiative or support mechanism? So I believe Tim had spoken to that briefly, but if you want to speak to that quickly, and I think we're out of comments, so we'll move to a vote just after this. Oh, okay. I think you might be muted, Tim.
Yes, sorry, Celine. I just wanted to reemphasize that, of course, we're looking at our budgets and how to best serve our members, and we will make adjustments through the year to find ways to more effectively represent and serve our members.
Great, thank you. So I don't see any other questions or comments having come in. Let's move to a vote. So we'll open the poll on the schedule of member and associate dues for 2021. Give folks a few more seconds to cast their vote on that. Okay, let's do. Okay, all the responses seem to be in, so let's go ahead and close that poll and display the results on screen. Okay, so the schedule of dues has passed with an 81% approval rating. Thank you very much. So next we're going to move into elections. And so I do see some comments. Dixie from Art Space Housing Co-op, regional boards have probably charged their member rate increase already. How will that affect the boards and regional boards? So regional federations are not governed under CHF Canada, so that would be a great question to contact your regional federation about. Sally Race from John Area Co-op has asked why it wasn't discussed during the budget. So unfortunately, the question wasn't asked when we were dealing with those resolutions, the budget resolution, and so it's not something that at this time that we can do. It's out of order at this point. So thank you, Sally, for that comment, and I am sure that folks will be able to follow up with Tim and his team if they have further questions or concerns about the dues rate. So let's move into the elections. I'm going to now call on Marianne Hannett by video feed, I believe, to speak to the Elections Committee and process.
Hello, my name is Marianne Hannon, and I'm the chair of the Nominating Committee and a member of Ontario Council. Today, I want to speak to you about our elections. I acknowledge that I am speaking with you today from the traditional land of the Wendat, Métis, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations. No matter the circumstances, even in a pandemic, we stand for democratic member control of your Cooperative Housing Federation. I'd like to begin by thanking the Nominating Committee. Your 2020 Nominating Committee members are Stephen Davies, the Regional Director for New Brunswick, Lisa Birding, the Regional Director for British Columbia, Yukon, and Alison Chase from Ontario Council. We were very ably assisted by CHF Canada staff Corinne Etier. The Nominating Committee looks for qualified candidates and tries to ensure all voices within CHF Canada are reflected on the Board of Directors and Ontario Council. The committee is an essential part of CHF Canada's governance. This year, we had several regional seats up for election, as well as the seat for Northern Ontario on Ontario Council. The following people were acclaimed to regional seats. In Alberta Northwest Territories, Isabel Sioc from Sarcee Meadows Co-op. In Saskatchewan, James Gillard from Rainbow Co-op. In Manitoba, Coral Hetherington from West Point Park Co-op. In Ontario, Tom Clement from the Cooperative Housing Federation of Toronto. In Prince Edward Island, Barb Dingwell from Westridge Estates Co-op. And in Newfoundland and Labrador, David Boyd from the Cooperative Housing Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. In Nova Scotia, we had a regional online election. The candidates were Angela Simpson from Highfield Park Co-op and Don Goss from High Hopes Co-op. Don Goss was elected to the position of Regional Director in Nova Scotia. We also had an online election for Ontario Council. The candidates were Sarah Jensen from Castle Green Cooperative and Vincent Lacroix from Tamarack Co-op. Sarah Jensen was elected to the position of Northern Ontario Representative on Ontario Council. So, what are we doing today? We will be conducting 2 votes today. The first is to elect at-large directors to the Board of Directors of CHF Canada. We have 6 candidates running for 5 positions. You must vote for 5 candidates. The meeting chair will introduce the candidates and will watch a short video presentation from each of them. We'll also elect a new member to CHF Canada's Finance and Audit Committee. We have 2 candidates contesting this seat. Again, Clement will introduce each candidate and we'll see a video presentation from each of them. CHF Canada is governed by and for its members. Thank you all for your participation in our democratic process to inspire, represent, and serve our members in a united cooperative housing movement. Back to you, Clement.
Great. So thank you very much for that, Marianne. So you'll see up on your screen the names of the nominees for the Board of Directors. So Lisa Birding, for Regional Director from British Columbia, Yukon. Alison Chase. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to read the names of the candidates aloud, actually. So the names for the candidates up for election today are, and if we can bring that slide up at this point as well, are Ann Davidson from Granville Gardens Co-op in Richmond, BC, Michelle Maldonado from Swansea Village Co-op, Toronto, Ontario, Bill McKeon from Wellington Square Co-op in Burlington, Ontario, Lindsay Murphy from International Co-op, or Inti Co-op, the font's too small, my apologies, Vancouver, BC, Don Obokata from St. Nicholas Co-op in Toronto, Ontario, and Scott Stagger Pietkowski from Bread and Roses Cooperative in Kitchener. And so at this time, I'm going to call for the candidate videos to run. You're also going to see, I believe, back-to-back the videos for the Finance Committee as well. And up for election for the Finance Committee are Judy Skinner from Church Isabella Residence Co-op in Toronto and Lana Wong from Waterloo Co-op. So you're going to see all of those candidate videos. Then we will go through the election for the board of directors and then for the finance and audit committee. So I'll ask for those videos to roll.
Hi, I'm Ann Davidson and I'm running for re-election. I may be from BC, but as a past president, I've travelled all over the country and met members in every region, so I'm well versed on the issues and what makes each one unique. It's important as a national federation that we represent the interests of all members. This is a year of transition. With the new bylaw change, this will be a one-year term. I'm on the governance committee. There's still a lot of work to be done, decisions to be made, and I want to be part of that. So I'm asking you to vote for me, and I hope to see you next year in Ottawa. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Maldonado, and I'm seeking your vote for re-election to the CHF Canada board. I'm so sorry we couldn't be together in person, but for now instead what we have to do is ask you to please check out our bios online. There you will see some of my experience, which includes living in housing co-op my whole life, having volunteered on various committees and on different board of directors, including at the regional level and the national level. I've also worked in housing co-ops, and I'm very passionate about housing co-ops. I believe that those are excellent models for community, and I would like to give as much as I can to ensure that these communities last well into the future and continue to thrive and are successful. I would like to give my experience and my passion to the board once again. On my bio, you can also see a list of my promises should you grant me your vote, which I hope you will consider. And in the meantime, I hope you stay well and that we can see each other again in person very soon. Bye for now.
Good day, everyone. I would like to introduce myself, Bill McKeon from Wellington Square Co-op in Burlington, Ontario, and I'm running for the position of Director at Large. I'm running not because I'm disappointed with our current board. However, as this is a year of drastic change and challenges for our country and co-ops, I believe it is also a time for change of our Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada board. I have served on our board of directors as vice president and also many committees here at Wellington Square Co-op. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope you will also take some time to read my biography and give me the opportunity to serve you in the future. Please remain safe. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Murphy. I'm from Inti Housing Cooperative in Vancouver. I'm running for one of the member at-large positions on the board this year. I hope everyone is keeping well during this unprecedented time. It's really highlighted the need for affordable housing across our country, and I really hope that I can bring my expertise and experience in advocating for co-op housing to be able to grow and support the cooperative housing sector. I hope everyone keeps well and enjoys the AGM.
Hi, my name is Dawn Obokata, and I'm a candidate for the CHF Canada Board of Directors. I recently spent my 34th Mother's Day here at St. Nicholas Co-op in the heart of downtown Toronto. These days, more than ever, I'm grateful for the ability to live in safe, affordable housing, secure with a caring community. That's why I'm committed to serving on this board of directors, if you elect me, to continue this fight for co-op housing for more people across this great country of ours. So please stay safe. Thank you for considering my candidacy, and remember that although together we agreed to stay apart for a while, together we remain strong. Thank you.
On the one hand, it's hard to believe that 3 years have passed since I was first elected to the CHF Canada Board. On the other hand, based on some of the challenges that we faced, it feels almost like we've lived through 3 years in the past 3 months. I still feel very honored to serve in this capacity, and I'm more than ready to serve you for the next year. As a member of the board, I've been accessible, accountable, and outspoken. I will continue to be that if I'm re-elected. I bring the voice of independent co-op managers to the board table. I bring the voice of medium-sized cities and the voice of ILM co-ops reaching the end of their operating agreement. I bring decades of experience in grassroots activism. When I was 24, I wanted to single-handedly save the world. More than 30 years later, I still want to save the world, but I've realized that I can't do it on my own. That's why I'm asking for your vote to return me to the CHF Canada Board. Let's work together to save the world.
Hi, I'm Judy Skinner, candidate for the Finance and Audit Committee from Church Isabella Residents Cooperative in Toronto. I'm board treasurer and a long-term member. I'm a recently retired accounting professional, CPA, CGA, from City of Toronto budget team. Outside of my co-op, I've worked as chairperson as Toronto Municipal Employees Credit Union for 10 years before its merger with Alterna. I have lots of experience with not-for-profit, community, and charity finances as well. Served as treasurer for City of Toronto Staff Association CATABSA, Women's Health and Women's Hands Community Health Centre in Toronto, and Oxfam Canada. I feel that financial governance is really important and would like to serve on the Finance and Audit Committee for CHF. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lana Wong, and I am a candidate for the Finance and Audit Committee. My co-op journey started with living at and serving on the board of Waterloo Cooperative Residents Inc., a student housing co-op with a recent expansion. I have also served as treasurer on the boards of 2 co-op federations, CHF and NASCO. For a few years, I have participated in CHF Canada governance through AGMs and other member engagement meetings. At work, I am a controller in the finance team. Not only am I a practitioner in finance and governance, I have also led workshops and training on both subjects. Lastly, I have done some preparation for the role. Good finance governance is important, especially during economic uncertainty. I bring relevant skills and experience with my candidacy. Please vote for me for the Finance and Audit Committee. Thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you very much to everybody who's put their nomination forward, and congratulations. Those were some really great speeches. So just a minor correction here. So on the slide, you'll see that Lana Wong is from Waterloo Co-op Residents, which is in fact in Waterloo, not in Toronto. Okay, so now we're going to launch right into the election. We're going to launch both polls at the same time. So you're going to go through one and then the other. It will differentiate between the board election and the Finance and Audit Committee selection. So just a reminder, you need to select the right number of positions for the right number of spaces. So there are 5 positions to vote for the board of directors. If you decide you want to change your mind, you need to unclick one selection before you make another. And then there's 1 position available for Finance and Audit Committee. So I'll encourage you to go ahead and go through that process, and we'll give folks time to complete their selections. I will say that people have suggested in the chat that there be music during the votes, and I've confirmed that no one wants me to be singing to keep you entertained while you're voting. It's just going to dissuade people from participating in the democratic process. So, and just a quick note, you're going to need to scroll down to see the second vote option, I believe, or it may pop up once you've submitted the first one. And never mind, that's just my view. Okay, so we'll give folks a few more moments to complete their vote. And a reminder, you need 5 selections for the Board of Directors election and 1 selection for the Finance and Audit Committee selection or election. Okay, so while the responses are coming in, we're still waiting for a few more folks to cast their vote. Just a shameless plug to stick around after the Ontario members meeting for Tireless Together at Home and the Joel Plaskett concert. We really do hope that you'll stick around and join us for that. And shameless plug that if you're participating through the full meeting, if you are not from Ontario, the full national meeting, and if you're from Ontario, both the national and Ontario meeting, you're eligible for some really great door prizes. So make sure that you're sticking around for that. So we'll just check in and see if the last of the results are in. Okay, so let's go ahead and close those election polls. And while those results are tabulated, we're going to throw to a quick video remarks from Minister Ahmed Hussein, who's the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. So I'll ask for that video to roll, please.
Bonjour tout le monde. Hi everyone. I'm Ahmed Hussein, Minister for Families, Children and Social Development. Although this is not how we had planned to get together originally, I'm pleased to be speaking with you today. And I want to thank the Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada for your leadership, for your resiliency in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this pandemic has demonstrated once again the central importance of affordable housing in creating better lives and outcomes for Canadian citizens, making sure that each and every Canadian has a safe and affordable place to call home. You are a great partner with the Government of Canada in ensuring that we meet our targets as part of the National Housing Strategy, which you helped us develop. This is to many more years of partnership and collaboration on the importance of affordable housing in Canada. Merci beaucoup.
Great. So thank you very, very much to Minister Hussein for those remarks and those greetings. So the results are still being tabulated. I just want to respond while we're waiting for those results. Just quickly, there was one comment that came in after we had finished dealing with the financial resolutions. I just wanted to note for everybody taking part in the meeting that CHF Canada staff are taking note of any questions that have come in, and they're going to make sure that everything is responded to. So you'll likely be able to expect a follow-up email or contact from CHF Canada. And if you haven't heard back and you still have those questions, you certainly have the opportunity to get a hold of staff through their website or by email or social media, and you can slide into their DMs and ask the question about their finances. So just a reminder that we're heading into the Ontario business meeting after, and we're going to have to everybody will have to leave the meeting and then sign back in for that Ontario business meeting when we get to it. Okay, so the results are in. So we're going to see the list of candidates is up on screen now, and we're going to follow that with the list of successfully elected members. And so elected to the board of directors are Ann Davidson, Michelle Maldonado, Lindsay Murphy, Don Obogata, and Scott Stagger-Pietkowski. Congratulations, and thank you very much again to all of the candidates for having presented for election. And now we'll deal with the Finance and Audit Committee election. So it was a very tight race. Congratulations to both for putting forward some strong nominations. So we see the candidates up on screen, and now I'll ask for the results of that election. So elected to the Finance and Audit Committee is Judy Skinner from Church Isabella Residence Co-op. So congratulations and thank you to both. Okay, so I'm now going to introduce and call on Tim Ross once again, Executive Director, to address the membership and speak to a significant staff member.
Well, thank you very much, Celine, and hello again, everyone. In March, we announced that one of our treasured colleagues is planning his retirement, and so we're very sad, but also very happy for Harvey Cooper, CHF Canada's Deputy Executive Director, who will be retiring, moving into semi-retirement at the end of August, in just a couple of months. Harvey's commitment to the co-op housing sector spans over 40 years and has touched all parts of our movement. His relentless positivity, strong member relations, effective advocacy, it's all been critical to the pursuit of CHF Canada's mission to inspire, represent, and serve our members in a united co-op housing movement. I really cherish the time that we've worked together, Harvey. You're one of my closest advisors and one of our movement's strongest leaders, and we're certainly going to miss you. But don't just take it from me. We've collected the words of a few others who also want to wish you well on your well-earned next chapter in your life. Thank you so much, Harvey.
I don't know very many people that could walk through the hallways of Queen's Park and have politicians from far and near, "Hey Harvey, how you doing? How's everything going? How's CHF Canada?" For the most part, when they're walking through the hallways, they're trying to stay out and get out of Dodge, but not when they see you. Not when they see you, and when they see you, they see CHF Canada. And they've always had open arms where we're concerned. And that's just a sign of the tremendous work and dedication that you put into our sector.
I'm Adam Vaughan, Member of Parliament for Spannet Fort York, and I'm so lucky to represent a riding that's full of co-ops, but they wouldn't be that many, including the one behind me, if it wasn't for a guy like Harvey Cooper, and one of the best people to ever be lobbied by if you're a politician, because he comes in there with a positive message and stands in support of so many good people. So I just want to say, Harvey, you've made a home for so many, you've created community for so many, you've created neighborhoods for all of us, and you've created a much better housing movement. Your contribution will never be duplicated. And my sense is, I'll see you again.
Hi, Harvey. Hope you have a great retirement. All the best from your buddies down here in the Golden Horseshoe.
I would be remiss if I didn't start in true Harvey Cooper fashion by saying I'll be brief. It's hard to imagine a CHF Canada or the co-op housing sector without Harvey Cooper. Harvey, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you. We're going to miss your infectious enthusiasm, your optimism, and your very passionate, and might I add, thorough reports at our board meetings. Congratulations on a successful career. I have no doubt that there are many good adventures awaiting you in this next phase of your life.
Congratulations on your retirement. We know how good you are as a lobbyist. Ministers, politicians, they all have the scars to show it. We know what your tender mercies consist of. We're going to miss you, Harvey. Good luck in the next round.
Hi, Harvey. Congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for all your support of the Ontario Federations and your advice over the years. It has been such a pleasure working with you. I wish you all the best, and now the fun begins.
Harvey, thank you for your commitment, your passion. You have been a tireless voice on behalf of co-op housing. We are all going to miss you. Take care.
Hi, I just want to take this opportunity to wish Harvey Cooper all the best in his retirement. He's been a tireless advocate for co-op housing, both in this province and right across the country. And I'll tell you a little story. The day I was sworn in as Minister of Municipal Affairs, it was right on the front steps here at Queen's Park. I went back to 777 Bay, our office, started a briefing with my Deputy Minister, and all of a sudden, a courier showed up with a letter. And lo and behold, it was a congratulations letter on being the minister from Harvey Cooper. That's what this guy is. He is so committed to building relationships and working with government. He's been a great friend and a great ally. All the best, Harvey, in your retirement.
Thank you for your kind words. It has truly been a pleasure to have been employed at CHF Canada and the cooperative housing sector for most of my career. I feel it was a blessing to have worked on behalf of cooperative housing, a model that I truly believe in. It has also been a unique privilege to work alongside such a dedicated group of talented people at the staff, governance, and housing co-op levels. Many of you have become my close friends. I wish everyone the very best. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Harvey, on an illustrious career, and you really have done so much for Canada's housing co-ops, true co-op legend. So we do have just a few more items of business before we wrap up the national business meeting. First up would be to announce the returning 2020-2021 CHF Canada Board of Directors, in addition to those announced, elected, and acclaimed. So you'll see those names on screen. Returning to the board are Lisa Birding, David Boyd, Tom Clement, Stephen Davies, Barbara Dingwell, James Gilliard, Tina Stevens, and Sandra Turgeon. Please join me in virtually congratulating them and thanking all candidates who ran in this year's election once again. We'd also like to say a special thank you to our to CHF Canada's departing directors. Jackie Dury has served as the Regional Director for Alberta Northwest Territories from 2015 to 2020. Jackie moved into her first co-op while attending university and has called co-ops home ever since. In her role on CHF Canada's board, her main goal was to keep housing co-ops functioning well. We thank you, Jackie, for your enthusiasm and passion in carrying out your duties as director. Angela Simpson was elected to the as Regional Director for Nova Scotia in 2015. She became involved in the sector after moving into Highfields Park Co-op in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia with her 3 children. By volunteering in her co-op, she realized that the values she was raised with of giving back to her community aligned deeply with those of the co-op principles. As a director on CHF Canada's board, Angela was most passionate about aging in place and the continuation of co-op affordability. Angela, thank you for your contributions and dedication to CHF Canada members. Now on to some more retiring directors. Nicole Waldron has served on CHF Canada's board since 2015 and was president for a term. Previously, she was a member of the Ontario Council. Nicole's outgoing nature and passion for co-op housing have endeared her to many CHF Canada members, as well as some really great songs and dances over the years during the meetings. An active member of Atwelpa Co-op in Scarborough, Ontario for over 20 years, Nicole has always felt at home and has worked tirelessly for the betterment of her community and the world at large. In her role on CHF Canada's board, Nicole was a strong supporter of sustainability and fostering the next generation of co-op leaders. Nicole, we thank you for your dedication and passionate service to CHF Canada members. Frank Wheeler has served on CHF Canada's board of directors as well since 2015 and has been president since 2018. Frank's generous and calm leadership style have been key to helping CHF Canada through a number of changes in the past few years. His deep appreciation for housing co-ops began in 2008. Frank and his family found their community at Winnipeg's Village Canadien Co-op and have proudly called it home ever since. In his role on CHF Canada's board, Frank has been a steadfast advocate for the protection and growth of co-op housing. He truly believes that the co-op model and wants more Canadians to be able to call a co-op home. Frank, we thank you for your commitment and for your exceptional service to CHF Canada members. It's now my pleasure to thank the staff of CHF Canada. I know that they always put a ton of work into making the conference run and the annual general meeting and all through the year in serving housing co-op members. So please join me in giving them a virtual round of applause for pulling together their first ever virtual AGM. Great job. It's an incredible feat, and I think that they have done an incredible job. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our amazing group of local volunteers in Halifax, led by the incredible Tina Hiscock from Needham Co-op. For close to a year, they've been planning on what was going to be an amazing AGM. While no one could predict what was in store for this spring, we know that when CHF Canada's members return in 2022, the wait is going to absolutely be worth it. So thank you for all your hard work there. And before we head to Halifax, we are going to be heading are coming to Ottawa next year. It will be great to see everyone again, and so make sure that you mark your calendars for June 10th to 12th, 2021, right here in the nation's capital. Because we are running quite behind time, and that's your virtual meeting chair needs a better virtual clock, I think. But I think it's important to remember that we are going to have to log off of the system and log back in. And the reason for that is that not everyone is a delegate in the Ontario business meeting, so the system has to reset so that voting permissions are in place only for Ontario members. So we're going to have everybody log off. We may kick you off, no offense, come on back, and then make sure we're going to take about 4 minutes to reset and get started again so that we can continue on with our business. And that's it's my apologies that we don't have a longer break in between. So we do apologize for the inconvenience of having to log out and log back in, but as I said, we do have to reset those voting privileges, and we do need quorum in order to hold the Ontario meeting and actually close the governance changes. So for those of you who remember a few minutes ago, you voted on the resolution to restructure the governance system of CHF Canada, and now that is going to need approval in the Ontario business meeting as well for that to take effect. So look forward to that. I encourage you all to take a quick stretch break. For those of you outside of Ontario, you're welcome to join back in. You'll have observer status. And then just make sure that you're keeping an eye on the CHF Canada Facebook page to find out about the winners of the door prizes or the virtual door prizes, the Windows prizes, unless you're on an Apple. Bad joke. And then again, remember to come back at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Joel Plaskett will be treating us all to special musical performance for the Tireless Together Fund, and you're not going to want to miss it. So with that said, we're going to log off and come back in about 4 minutes time. But in order for us to do that, we have to first close out this historic virtual AGM. I'm going to ask for one more vote. Can someone please make a motion and someone second the motion to adjourn our meeting? Perfect, thank you. So it's moved by Shane Johnson, Brooks Cooperative Homes, Inc., and seconded. I saw it seconded. We'll make sure that the recording secretary has it. So all of those in favor of adjournment, we'll launch that poll. It's a very important one, usually very tight results. You know, people love to keep meeting when there's nothing to meet about anymore, but go ahead and cast your votes. We'll ask you to put the bookends on our meeting. I'll give you folks a few more seconds. Yeah, that was a quick one. It's an easy vote. Okay, so we'll count down 3, 2, 1, and let's close that poll and display the results. All right, go figure. Everyone agrees that we should stop meeting. So we'll officially adjourn the meeting at 3:19. Come on back in a few minutes, folks, for more co-op housing fun. We'll see you soon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 2020 Virtual Ontario Members Meeting. I'm David McFarlane, the President of the Ontario Council. I wanted to thank everyone for attending this year's virtual meeting. I know that we all wish that we could be meeting face-to-face, but I hope we'll be able to see each other next year in Ottawa. I wanted to start by acknowledging that while we are joining in across Ontario, I am currently in the traditional territory of the Wendat Anishtabeg Haudenosaunee, I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly, and I apologize if I am not, Métis, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. This acknowledgement is just a part of a long reconciliation journey we are on at CHF Canada, which we invite all members to join. With the great support and knowledge of consultant Jackie Hogue, a reconciliation toolkit has been developed and will soon be launched on the occasion of National Indigenous Peoples Day, June 21st. Throughout this virtual meeting, you'll hear and learn about Indigenous peoples' land across the province. As speakers acknowledge the land that they are speaking from when giving their updates. Again, I wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. 2020 is proving to be a challenging and isolating time for many. The coronavirus pandemic has prevented us from gathering together in Halifax. It has shaken up the status quo and laid bare a lot of our country's deep-seated problems, including the racial injustices in our healthcare system and in our justice system. Cooperatives are built on the values of self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, equality, equity, and solidarity. So long as the systemic racism exists in our communities, we must and we will work to dismantle this injustice. Just like in our national business meeting, we'll need to appoint a chair to guide us as we go over the agenda of our meeting today. Our meeting runs smoothly not only because we are of our own cooperation and respect for each other, and the fact that co-op people are just fabulous people, we want to make sure that our meeting runs efficiently, smoothly, and of course we will be, calling upon the great Céline Carrier, if it is agreed, to chair this meeting this afternoon. So I am now going to ask for a mover and seconder to appoint Céline Carrier as chair of CHF Canada's Ontario members meeting. Do we have a mover and seconder? Okay, I take it that we have a mover and a seconder. Carolyn Reinhard, Mountain City Housing. And our seconder is Twyla Genja from Beaver Creek. Okay, so we have a mover, we have a seconder, and we're now going to put this to a vote. Delegates can now vote on the motion. Please cast your vote. Okay, I'm getting the signal that we can now close the polls. Okay, and results are here. And are you ready? Are you guys ready for this? Celine, you are in. You are in. You can't go anywhere.
I'm
It's you now. All right.
All right. Thank you very much for that unanimous endorsement. So let's dive right into it because we have some great Ontario region business to attend to. I'm not going to go over the same spiel as we did at the beginning of the national meeting because I'm working on the assumption that folks have attended both the national business meeting and the Ontario business meeting. However, I can confirm that the meeting was called on April 29th of 2020 in accordance with CHF Canada's bylaws, and we can confirm quorum. So the quorum requirement would be 80 voting delegates, and I can confirm that we have achieved 119. So thank you very much for everybody for jumping off of the meeting and hopping right back into this one. That's great. And so with that said, we're again going to come into the approval of the agenda. So I'm going to ask for a mover and seconder to approve the agenda and the amended meeting rules. So just a reminder while we're waiting for a mover and seconder that the amended meeting rules would mean that we are not handling any late resolutions or any amendments because of the limitations of the virtual meeting. So thank you very much for Mike Newman will be, no, we'll do this in order. So Lauren Healy from Clement Nonprofit Housing Co-op has moved. Thank you, Lauren. And Mike Newman from Canada Co-op Homes. Hi, Mike, has seconded that motion. So thank you very much. The agenda is up on the screen over 2 slides, and you can see that in your AGM book and online. So I'm going to ask for any comments or questions related to the approval of the agenda. We'll give it a moment here for anyone who's typing any questions or comments in. I'm not seeing anything, so let's move right into the vote. So if we can launch the poll for the approval of the agenda and amended meeting rules, or modified meeting rules rather. So a reminder that you're going to cast your ballot, and if at any point you have questions or comments, you're going to use the chat function in the left-hand side of your screen. So we'll give folks a moment. You can just imagine the Jeopardy waiting song in the back of your head as you're voting. I'm not going to sing it. No one needs that. Okay. So I'm going to close the poll and we'll display the results. Great, so the agenda is approved. And then, okay, so we are working with a bit of a timeline here, folks. So I'm gonna remind people whenever you're asking questions or making comments to be as concise as possible. And we're gonna entertain questions, but if they haven't, if they've already been responded to, we're gonna move through them and acknowledge them, and staff will follow up later. So that agenda has been approved, and we do have a cutoff time. So we're gonna try to be as expedient as possible, okay? So with that said, we're gonna move into the approval of the minutes. So I'm gonna ask for a mover and seconder to approve the minutes of the Ontario business meeting, or Ontario members meeting from 2019. Thank you very much for Sarah Murray from Golden Horseshoe to move those minutes, and Steve McIntosh from Wingill Housing Co-op has seconded. Thank you very much. Any discussion or debate on those minutes? I'm not hearing or seeing anything coming in, so let's move straight into the vote on that. So we'll launch the poll to consider the approval of the minutes. And I'll take this opportunity to apologize to our belabored translators because I'm starting to sound like an auctioneer in my haste. So I'll try to keep that my speed as low as I can. So I'll ask you to cast your vote for the approval of the minutes. I'll give a few more seconds here. so let's close that poll and display the results on screen. Thank you very much. Those minutes have been approved. So now we'll move right into the special Ontario resolution, and I'm just going to grab those here. So again, it is a special resolution requiring a 2/3 majority. I'm going to read out the resolution once again. We'll have a mover and seconder, and if you have any questions or comments, I'm going to encourage you to make them brief and to type them in so that we're ready to handle them once it's all read out. So, special resolution number 1, being recommended by the Ontario Council, so unified and effective governance of CHF Canada. We resolve, number 1, that the CHF Canada Board of Directors and Ontario Council reorganize into a single governance body at the close of the 2021 CHF Canada Annual General Meeting. 2, that CHF Canada amend bylaw number 1 to reflect the composition of the new Board of Directors as approved by the members in a resolution of the 2019 Annual General Meeting. Stating A, 16 seats, including 3 directors elected to the members from the members in Ontario, 1 director elected from the members in BC and Yukon, 1 director elected from the members in Alberta Northwest Territories, 1 director elected from the members in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, 1 director elected from the members in Quebec, Nunavut, 1 director elected from the members in New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, 1 director elected from the members in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Labrador, and 1 director elected by the Indigenous Cooperative Housing Community members, and 6 directors elected from the members at large. Number 3, that CHF Canada repeal bylaw number 2 and the Ontario Region Operating Rules effective December 31st, 2020. Number 4, that CHF Canada adopt a new policy under the members' authority respecting the oversight of the National and Ontario Endowment Funds effective January 1st, 2021. Number 5, that the Board of Directors and Ontario Council dissolve at the close of the 2021 Annual General Meeting. Number 6, that CHF Canada hold elections in 2021 to elect the new Board of Directors. And number 7, that the new Board of Directors take office at the close of the 2021 Annual General Meeting. So that resolution has been moved by Chris Murray from Mountain Warrior Cooperative Housing. I apologize for the pronunciation on that. And Twila Gingras from Beaver Creek Housing Cooperative seconds that motion. So it has been brought forward. I'm now going to call on Harvey Cooper to speak to that resolution. Harvey's saying that he thinks he's muted.
To unmute me and enable my camera.
Okay, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, and I've got my camera on. Okay. Well, a real pleasure to join everyone virtually, and it was very good to see the support for the resolution at the national meeting just a little earlier. I think once again, as you did last year, co-op representatives are showing a lot of vision, a lot of wisdom, and the building of our overall sector. This reorganization, it will result in a clearer, a stronger, and a united movement that we can serve our membership well. You know, we did merge 2 organizations literally almost a generation ago in the mid-1990s, and we set up some parallel structures at the time, and they worked, you know, relatively well, but people have been saying for, I think, some time now, if it's a unified movement, why don't we have one unified board? And the last couple of years, I think you, the membership, have really ensured that this unification can truly take place. Last year, on the substance of the motion, today we're looking at the implementation bylaw, you voted over 90% in favor of this reorganization. And, you know, hats off, particularly to the Ontario members. You're a majority of the delegates. And in a lot of ways, you're the ones who've moved forward this important milestone that we truly will speak with one voice for all co-ops, not only in the province, but across the country. And this new combined reconfigured board ensures Ontario continues to have a very strong voice. We'll have 3 directors now elected from the province, and the number of at-large directors has been increased to 6. The new structure completely protects the Ontario endowment funds that were brought into the merged organization years ago. These funds, as was mentioned at the national meeting, remain completely under the control of Ontario members. So from the council, the board, we encourage you, Ontario delegates, let's bring this home in the next few minutes and continue to build our co-op housing movement from coast to coast to coast. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Harvey. And so I am not seeing any questions or comments or debate coming in the chat. I'll just check in with the green room staff to see if we're seeing anything being typed in. And if not, we're going to go ahead and move to a vote. So, okay, I'm not seeing anything coming in, so I'm going to go on the assumption that the discussion, debate, and questions were all dealt with during the national business meeting, as these are the paired resolutions. So with nothing coming forward, I'm going to ask that we launch the poll for special resolution number 1 for the Ontario governance, let me read that right, governance resolution, unified and effective governance resolution. There we go. So I'll ask you to cast your vote, and just a reminder once again that we do need a 2/3 majority on this resolution, as well as it is a special resolution and requires bylaw amendment. So we'll give folks a few more moments. Okay, so let's wrap up that poll and display the results on screen. Great. So we have a large margin, 97% support for that resolution. Okay, so thank you for that. That resolution has passed, and CHF Canada is going to see some very significant changes, and you'll see that transition come to an end at next year's AGM. So congratulations, members and delegates, on that. So let's move into the next item, which is the Ontario Council President and Executive Director report. So I'm going to call on Dave McFarland and Deputy Executive Director Harvey Cooper via video feed to provide that report.
CHF Canada Ontario Council has worked very hard over the last year, representing over 550 housing co-ops across the province, home to over 125,000 households. As we look back on 2019, we should feel pretty proud about what we've accomplished. We partnered with our local federations in Ontario under the banner #IncludeCoop and launched a very successful 2019 federal election campaign that focused on growth and development. We hosted our annual Co-op Housing Day at Queen's Park and had a record-breaking turnout of MPPs. We were successful in having the province address a long-standing issue, that being calculations of housing charge subsidies for housing co-ops governed by the Housing Services Act. Now, I'm going to ask our Deputy Executive Director, Harvey Cooper, who works very closely with Ontario Council, to say a few words.
I am speaking from and acknowledge the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee First Nations, the dish with one spoon territory. Thank you very much, Dave. It is a pleasure to work with you and all the dedicated members of the Ontario Council. A key item for us last year was successfully advocating for the province to focus attention on the sustainability of the existing cooperative housing stock. Queen's Park has responded by launching their community housing renewal strategy for that very purpose. As part of that Ontario strategy, we are advocating to ensure that provincial co-ops, when their mortgages come to an end, that they are financially sustainable for a generation to come. Now more than ever, the need for affordable housing that meets the diverse needs of the communities that we represent is paramount. I want to thank all the staff at CHF Canada that work tirelessly on behalf of housing co-ops across this province. Together with you, our members, we can ensure the protection and growth of the co-op sector in Ontario. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Dave and Harvey, for that report. Wonderful. So I'm now going to actually call Harvey back in live to speak to the results for the elections for Ontario Council. Go ahead, Harvey.
Okay, thank you again, Celine. And I understand we're under pretty tight time constraints, so I'll be quick. We're delighted with the results. They were announced earlier by Marianne Hannett that the new member representing Northern Ontario on the Ontario Council, and if we could have the slide, is Sarah Jensen from Castle Green Co-op, will be joining the Ontario Council. So welcome to Sarah. I don't know if we can get that slide up there. There we are. There's Sarah. Sarah hails from Castle Green Co-op. Speaking of which, and if I had more time, I'd use it, but I won't. But she has done an absolutely tremendous job sitting on the council for the last 6 years. Sharon Carolyn McKinnon, representing Northern Ontario, manager of Castle Green Co-op, the dynasty continues. I'll just say this, you know what? Sharon is one of those designated hitters you want on your team. She is just a stellar voice for cooperative housing across Northern Ontario and the entire province, whether she's giving a deputation at Municipal Council, meeting with the mayor, having the MP visit her co-op. Thanks for your enormous contributions over 6 years, Sharon. Well deserved. We really appreciated your work. And let's throw up there who our 2021 Ontario Council is. There's the new group with the addition of Sarah, and let's have a photo of this glorious governing group, the Ontario Council from last year, and I'll just give them my heartfelt thanks. A tremendous group to work for, that day in and day out are your voice across this province and on national issues as well. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to you, Celine.
Thanks very much, Harvey, and congratulations to new and continuing directors, and to you again, Harvey, on your retirement. So
thanks.
So we're now going to go into another video from Honorable Steve Clark, who is the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. So we'll roll that video right away, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak at your virtual annual general meeting. It's a great way to safely proceed with this AGM, and demonstrates your resiliency and the ability to come together as a community during unprecedented times. We've seen how important it is to work together to stop the spread of COVID-19. Protecting the health and safety of Ontarians remains our government's top priority, and at the same time, we are preparing for the responsible restart of our economy. We're committed to working with housing providers, including leaders like CHF. You play a critical role in ensuring that Ontarians have a safe and affordable place to call home. In Ontario, 125,000 people across the province live in co-op housing, and I want to thank you for all that you do. Through our community housing renewal strategy, we are creating a streamlined legislative and regulatory environment so housing providers like CHF will stay in the system once their mortgages end. We want to ensure co-ops continue to be strong, innovative, and sustainable now and into the future. Co-ops are vibrant and engaged mixed-income communities. They bring residents together and help build a strong sense of ownership and pride. You create homes where people can feel safe, raise families, and be connected to their community. And during times like this, cooperation is more important than ever. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy the rest of your AGM.
Thank you very much, Minister Clark. So a few announcements, and we're going to wrap up what might be the shortest Ontario business meeting ever had. So before we announce the door prize winners, I want to take a moment and really recognize and thank the sponsors for this meeting for their generous support. So please join me in virtually thanking IRC Building Sciences Group, Prentice Yates and Clark, Allegra Printing, Auxilium Properties, and all of our wonderful sponsors shown on screen as well. Please be sure to take a few minutes next week to complete the AGM survey, which you'll find soon in your email. CHF Canada would love to hear what you thought of the first ever virtual AGM. So now it's time, the moment that you've eagerly been waiting for, door prizes. Also, there's a really great performance coming, so really exciting. After the meeting on Facebook, where CHF Canada is going to be listing the names of those who've each won a $100 gift card of your choice, and Cynthia is going to be in touch to get your gift card to you, so congratulations. One more piece of business, and then we're going to tell you how you can go and enjoy a live performance from Joel Plaskett. So can I please entertain a motion to adjourn? Is there anyone who would like to make that motion and second that motion? If you can please type that into a chat one last time. Motion to approve from Alexandra Duckneys from Sandhills Cooperative Homes and Carolyn Reinhardt from Mountain City Housing Co-op has seconded. Thank you very much. I'll ask all of those in favor of the motion to adjourn. We'll launch that poll right away. We'll see. I mean, I'm okay with you not voting in favor of it. You know, it was unanimous to approve me as chair, so we can just leave that as the only one that got unanimous consent. Kidding, I'm kidding. So we'll give people a chance to fill out the, okay, votes are done. Let's show those results. We'll see if they match the chair approval. Healthy competition, you know. See, there we go. We've got a tie. So a unanimous consent to adjourn. That's great. We'll close the meeting officially at 3:55, but don't go away yet. So the Ontario members meeting is officially adjourned, but please make sure that you come and join us to hear Joel Plaskett perform for the Tireless Together at Home. You can find the live stream now on the CHF Canada Facebook page, and the concert starts any minute now. If someone can type in the time, just so that I know, because the time, we're past the time in my script. So, and like now, it's going to start like now. So thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations on a great virtual AGM, and we're going to wrap it up. Have a great day. Enjoy the concert. Thank you.